Welcome back. Susan Banks first came to Buffalo in the 1970s at Channel 7, made an immediate impact as reporter, anchor, left for Boston, returned to Channel 2 as an anchor, spent time in Houston, but Buffalo is really Susan's adopted hometown, and when she came back home to Eyewitness News in 1990, that's where she remained until her retirement just a few years ago. I had the privilege of working with this woman in Buffalo television from 1990 until her retirement. Let's meet my friend, Susan Banks. Who were your inspirations?
Well, when I started in the 70s, first of all, there weren't a lot of women on TV. I used to watch Barbara Walters in the morning. She was on NBC, I think, the Today Show. And I always thought she was so smooth, and it was so much fun to watch her. She was very natural. She did fun things. I remember one time she had to leave the set for some reason, and she just looked at the camera. She said, "Amuse yourselves for a minute." And she left the set. It was very casual in those days. It wasn't as scripted, as strictly organized as it is now. But I watched her. But again, there weren't a lot of women. So the men were really our role models. And unfortunately, in the beginning, when I say the beginning of broadcasting, I really mean to say in the 70s, when women were starting to get on the air more, our only role models were men. So a lot of us emulated the men. We spoke like the men, we dressed like the men. We were like little men sitting there. And that was unfortunate because I think that undermined our credibility to a certain degree because we were trying to sublimate our femininity while doing our jobs as well. So.
Did you ever feel discriminated against?
Oh yeah, oh sure, absolutely. I can remember many times being given the girl stories instead of doing real reporting. It was frustrating and exhausting at times. I recall very early on in my career, I had a great story, and I went to the news director with it, and I had all the material on my desk. And he gave me the green light. When I went back to get my material to do the story, another reporter had taken it, gone in and said, "She can't do this, I'll do the story."
And how did that make you feel?
Well, it made me angry, made me very angry and frustrated. But luckily, I had a lot of fighting spirit. I was working in Eastern North Carolina at a TV station. And I got a call one night from this gentleman who spoke with this incredible voice. "I'm Irv Weinstein." And of course, he said, we're looking for people who want to get out there and get the stories and do the job. And I said, "Oh yeah, that's me. I want to do it. I want to do it." So I came to Buffalo, and that was May of 1977. And
what were some of the stories you covered that you recall as standouts in your career?
A lot of stories in Buffalo. Some of them not terribly groundbreaking or life-changing, but meaningful. The stories I enjoyed doing were the stories where we actually got results for people. People who lost loved ones wanted to talk to Channel 7 about it, especially if there was something questionable about the death. And we would hear from people, how awful of you to take advantage of their grief. But what they didn't understand was people wanted to talk about it. They needed to expiate their grief. They needed to find meaning in the loss of a loved one. And very often there were questionable circumstances. So we were able to bring that out and help them. Our job is to inform the public so that they can make smart decisions about their lives and certainly about their political choices. That's a huge piece of the puzzle. You really have to get the information out there properly. I think for a democracy to function well, people have to be informed so that maybe they don't want to vote, or maybe they will make poor decisions about whatever their life is, about the food they choose or the medicine they choose or whatever. But it's still our job to let them know.
And you've had a very public connection because you battled breast cancer.
Twice, yes.
And you made that, a very public.
I did.
Which I think was very important because you probably have helped save countless lives as a result of that.
I've had some very moving experiences with that. People who have contacted me and said, you know, I was afraid to go to the doctor, or I found something and I decided to go because you went or you talked about it, and they said they did find something, I had it removed, and luckily it was early enough. So I did have a number of experiences with that, which moved me deeply.
From Buffalo, it was some other markets, Boston
I did.
included.
I went to 2 top 10 markets. I was in Buffalo for 4 years. Luckily got a job in Boston, anchoring, and that was a big story at the time, because the station lost its license to operate because of some shenanigans going on with the parent company. So luckily I came back to Buffalo, worked at Channel 2 for 6 years, and then I went to Houston for 2 years, which was pretty interesting. That was a real experience.
But Buffalo kept bringing you back.
Buffalo kept bringing me back. I loved it here. I always felt comfortable here. I felt good here.
And you've made your life here.
I've made my life here. I have.
Thanks for spending some time with us.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Thanks, Susan. It certainly has been, and good luck to you and your husband, Michael. Thanks for watching our special presentation put together by Andy Smazinski, Joe Malucci, and especially Tim Batt, Brian Kribe. Of course, thanks to Bob Kaczynski and our executive producer, Phil Arnold. That's it for this special Women in Buffalo Television. I'm John DeSciullo. Thanks for watching WBBZ, your hometown television station.